those buyers in those foreign countries want to meet the people that raise the crops they're importing. It makes a huge difference.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the State of Soy. I'm Aaron Putsy and I'm visiting with the Iowa Soybean Association President Randy Miller. We're on his farm here in Lacona in south central Iowa. Randy, we just got back from a trade mission Iowa Soybean Association led. You led it to Egypt and Morocco. First of all, just start with an overview of some takeaways and maybe some impressions from that trip.
Well, first off, Aaron, it was a really good trip. We started in Egypt at World Fish, which is a humanitarian organization that works with the SECs, the Soy Excellence Centers, to help train producers, feed mill operators, people that are involved in the use of soybean meal for feed. So it trains those people how to use it, how to make rations, how to keep records, and that kind of stuff. We attended a graduation ceremony for a class of people that had just completed one of the training sessions. They were very excited to have a fresh, new perspective on soybean meal and how to use it and record keeping and that kind of stuff.
These are investments that you as a soybean farmer are making, courtesy of the soybean checkoff, to really help train and equip people in developing countries to do better in their production of dairy, poultry, fish. And to do that, they need professional feed using the soybeans that you grow.
Exactly. Those markets are emerging. They're going from feeding table scraps and leftover stuff for aquaculture feed to using soybean meal, to balancing the ration, having the right amount of protein for the right size fish. It's really neat to see that progression from where they've been and where they're going with that work.
Now, also from the economic standpoint, our inflation here and devaluations of currency there, how does that impact U.S. soybean farmers?
Right now, it's a big impact in Egypt. The exchange rate right now is 30 to 1. So for them to be able to buy U.S. soybean meal is really, really hard. And on top of that, with some things going on in their government, to even come up with U.S. currency is really hard. So they're basically buying hand to mouth. They're only buying what they can afford to buy today, which is a huge percentage less than they had been buying a year ago.
Now, the Morocco economy seems to be more stable than Egypt. That country is really the gateway for U.S. agricultural exports into North Africa and into that continent. What did you pick up from your time in Morocco?
They are the gateway. They've had a free trade agreement with the United States for a really long time. Stuff comes into Morocco, and from there it's disseminated throughout all of Africa. So the relationships that we build there really impact the rest of that continent.
And we were able to visit with a couple of feed millers. Talk about what they are looking at in terms of how they want to use U.S. soybeans for the growing aquaculture market throughout North Africa.
Yeah, that market is emerging. It's coming on really fast. There's at least 2 feed mills that we visited. One was the largest in Morocco. They're building a brand new facility to make just fish food. So that market is going to take off if the rest of the country kind of comes along economically. It'll be a game changer for U.S. soybeans. Our ag department and their ag department are working together to work out a resolution, because that country has not had high path and they don't have a lot of migrating fowl through the country. So they want to do everything they can to keep that out of their country to help make sure that their poultry herds stay healthy and growing. With the work of our ag department and theirs, they're hoping to come to a resolution.
And that's the kind of insights you get, Randy, by traveling and by going to these countries, is you learn about some of those things that maybe otherwise you wouldn't pick up on. Why do you make time as a farmer? I mean, here we are right on the cusp of getting into the field, but why is it important that farmers like you make time for trade missions like what we just took to Egypt and Morocco?
First off, Aaron, it's about relationships. No different than right here when I go to buy seed from my local supplier. Those buyers in those foreign countries want to meet the people that raise the crops and the inputs they're importing. And until you go meet with them and see that, you don't really understand it, I don't think. But after being there, it makes a huge difference to talk to those people and tell them what we're doing here to raise a sustainable product that's of high quality for them to use for feed.
These trade visits matter, especially when you're talking about a country like Egypt and their growing appetite for U.S. soy for aquafeed markets moving forward. Reporting for this edition of the State of Soy and for the Iowa Soybean Association, I'm Aaron Putsey.